One thing I would correct you on, I think it's very important to emphasize this. You refer to Hebrews. Okay. Hebrews is a term that was used as a pejorative by all the enemies of Egypt. Pharaoh, the Philistines they never refer to themselves as Hebrews. Okay, because the word Hebrew basically means wanderer. It means somebody who's stateless, who has no position in society. They always refer to themselves as Israelites, not as Hebrews. Okay, Hebrews is a much bigger term.
Yeah, you are correct. Would it be a fair assessment when you see in historical evidence different pronunciation of the word Hebrew, like Iberus or Iberus? Well, these are the same people. Would that be the same?
Yes, indeed. Ibri is or Ibrim is the Hebrew word, the name in the Bible for them in the original Tanakh. In the Egyptian text, they're called Habiru or Apiru. Okay, so when the Canaanites are writing to Egypt in the Amalapur, they refer to them as Habiru, and the Egyptians refer to them as Apiru. These are all the same word as Ibrim or Ibri, okay, which we turn into Hebrew, okay, but it's a much more generic term. It's about people who are not part of city society, who are wanderers, shepherds, nomads, pastoralists. And it includes what the Bible refers to as a mixed multitude who left Egypt. They are the Israelites, who are specifically the people who descended from Israel, Jacob, the sons of Jacob and the tribes. They're the real Israelites. And then the other people that came with them out of Egypt were the mixed multitude. They're the Hebrews. Okay, so when the Philistines refer to Hebrews, it's a pejorative. They're actually dismissing the Israelites in the hill country, their enemy, are sort of like gypsies, people of no significance. So I'd recommend you don't use the term Hebrew because it's actually a nasty word. It's actually it's like referring to people as gypsies. It's not a pleasant word. Okay, and the real Israelites are the people who are descended out of Jacob. So what I'm concerned about is not calling the people Hebrews, because the only people that called the Israelites Hebrews were their enemies, the Philistines and the Egyptians and other people. You will not find in the Bible where they refer to themselves as Hebrews, apart from possibly Abraham is the only one who calls himself a wandering Aramite or a wandering Hebrew. But that he's defining himself on the more wider term. The word Hebrew, as it was mentioned earlier on from Aber, it actually means somebody who travels, who wanders through an area, who comes down from somewhere to somewhere else. In other words, they're pastoralists, they're nomadic peoples who go through and wander through the city-state system that was involved in the ancient Near East. So they are people who are not attached to any particular state. They're not ruled by any government until the time of the United Monarchy period, where the tribes actually ask for a king, and that, of course, is King Saul. They ask for a king like every other nation. So Hebrews is a generic term for wanderers or people who are stateless, who have no home. Okay? Whereas specifically the people who descend from Jacob are called Israelites, and the 12 tribes are Israelites. Anybody descended from Jacob, Israel, is an Israelite.
So Doctor, this is Bishop Rodriguez, and thank you, caller, for your question. So when in the Bible it mentions that Abraham was called a Hebrew, he was called a Hebrew from outsiders or people that referred to him, but he himself did not refer to himself as a Hebrew? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Or
yes, basically, because he's a wandering nomad. He's a shepherd. He's a very, very wealthy nomad, but he comes down from Haran. First of all, from Orpha, which is ancient Ur, he comes to Haran and he moves down into Canaan. He settles at Shechem. He moves down further on to Hebron and he lives under the oak tree at Mamre. And then he moves on to Beersheba. So he's a nomadic person. He's moving from one place to another, as his sons were, as the other patriarchs were. They never settled. They lived in the Negev part of the time. So they're stateless people. They are wealthy tribal chieftains, but they don't belong to a state.
Okay, now,
and that's what the term Hebrew means.
Okay, now would it be safe to say that theoretically that perhaps, maybe you will know this, that Abraham maybe referred to himself as of the Chaldeans, of Ur of the Chaldeans? Well, that would be if somebody would ask him, what would you think that he would say? Who are you, or what's your nationality? What do you think he would say to that?
Okay.
During the time of his lifetime?
That's very interesting. If you go back to Adam and Eve and the separation between the people who were city dwellers and those who were pastoralists, you go to Cain and Abel, of course. And Cain murders Abel, and he becomes the founder, the father figure, the eponymous ancestor of the city folk, the city dwellers. Okay, so they build cities. The other line comes through Abel's successor, who is Seth, who becomes the line of the patriarchs, and they're pastoralists. And that's the perennial war that goes on between pastoralists and sedentary folk. Pastoralists wander through the countryside. The farmers and the city folk, they hate them because they get their crops destroyed by the animals that come through. And so there's always been this antagonism between city folk and wanderers, pastoralists. One thing I would correct you on, I think